What's up, everybody? Happy Buffalo Bills Sunday. Happy Divisional Round Sunday. Already a wild start to this weekend with yesterday's two games, last-second field goals, both kicked by the Bengals and the 49ers to advance. Great job by McPherson, the rookie, and Gould going into hostile territories and winning against the top seed in the respective conferences of the NFC and AFC. We move to today. This video brought to you by Cooperstown Connection. Make sure you go get all of your NFL apparel and memorabilia at Cooperstown Connection. All the sideline gear, you name it, at Cooperstown Connection, Destiny USA. We're also brought to you in part by the Vince Aguirre Consulting Group, Stumbling Monkey Brewing Company, and your State Farm agent, Matt Graham. Chiefs and Bills, boy, this is going to be an unbelievable game today at Arrowhead in Kansas City. Now, if you're a Bills fan, you're thinking to yourself, geez, yeah, if we had beaten the Jags, we'd be hosting. But even above that, if you had beaten the Titans, the entire thing would go through Western New York. Well, guess what? If you win today, you're hosting the AFC Championship game next week anyway. So this game is monumental on so many levels, and it got even bigger last night after Cincinnati kicked the field goal to beat the Tennessee Titans. And you think back to week 5 between these two teams at Arrowhead, the Bills got a small little sliver of revenge losing to the Chiefs last year in the AFC title game. They won 38-20. Josh Allen had 370 plus yards of total offense, multiple touchdowns on the ground, through the air. Dawson Knox was terrific. Emmanuel Sanders was a big factor in this game. But the teams look different right now in a lot of ways, starting with the defense. Folks, both of these defenses have been absolutely lights out the last 8-9 weeks of the season. In particular, the Bills, the last few weeks of the season, dominating form against so many teams and really getting up to the number 1 ranking in the NFL. The Kansas City Chiefs, meanwhile, they have Ward probably playing at corner this time around. They have a healthier defensive outfit. Chris Jones is going to play. Wasn't in there before. Melvin Ingram, remember? They made that trade for Ingram, and he's a guy who can line up against Spencer Brown on that right side, and Spencer Brown's going to have his hands full. It's just a very different-looking defense across the board for KC, and frankly, for the Bills as well, when you think about the fact that they're going to have Matt Milano now in this game. No Trey White, of course, but Matt Milano, who could be just as important in the Bills' defense in terms of slowing down those crossing patterns for Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and company. These two teams are very, very similar to each other, aren't they? I mean, watch how they play. High-octane quarterbacks. They can throw it on the run. Allen's probably a better runner overall. You got unbelievable cast of wide receivers, Stephon Diggs, Davis, Beasley, and tight ends, Dawson Knox, etc., on to Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill. Both teams are deep. Both teams are versatile. Both teams are well coached. McDermott, Frazier, and Dable. Reed, Bieniemy, and Spagnuolo. They're so close to each other. Great front offices, awesome GMs in terms of Brett Veach with the Kansas City Chiefs and Brandon Beane of the Buffalo Bills. What is this game going to come down to? I think a couple of things. I think number one, it's going to be, how do the Buffalo Bills defend Patrick Mahomes? You cannot leave the one safety up high. I would expect Poyer and Hyde to be back there a little bit and help out. Yes, his t-shirt's very big. Help out, the single coverage situation. Tyreek Hill, you don't want to give up that play, that big explosion up over the top. So I think that's a huge thing. I think turnovers, of course, special teams penalties. We see it in the playoffs all the time. We saw it yesterday. All those things combined, they play such a factor in the regular season, but in the postseason, every possession is magnified even more. Those will all be very important. I think Josh Allen, to limit a mistake. Don't make that one mistake. So far, he's been pretty darn good in the playoffs. He basically pitched a perfect game against the Patriots, but you can't have that one mistake, as we've seen so far in the postseason. That one late mistake can kill you. And Green Bay, look at Green Bay. They had the block punt. San Francisco blocks it and runs it in. So I think that's going to be a big thing as well. I think the Bills, in two areas, have a major advantage over Kansas City. Number one, I think they're going to be able to run the ball. I think this team, Devin Singletary coming on late, motor, he's been unbelievable. That offseason conditioning program last year really paying off for him, and I think he'll be able to run the football. McKenzie in that motion jet sweep sort of role. Expect him to get some reps, too, at the slot receiver position, depending on how Kansas City defends the Buffalo Bills. And then, of course, with Josh Allen running the football, I think that's going to be a huge thing for the Buffalo Bills. I also think the Bills have a major advantage against the Kansas City secondary. We'll see where Tyrann Mathieu roaming around back there as their free safety, but the Bills have so many weapons. I mean, what do? Do you try to shut down Diggs? Davis is left across, to the outside on the outbound pattern. Sanders can go deep. Beasley or McKenzie across the middle. Dawson Knox is a big red zone target, and now a guy who can catch it and rumble forward for yards after catch. So I think the Bills receiver core is really, really, really significantly better than the Chiefs' defense and the secondary. I don't think the same can be said for Kansas City's offensive guys going into this game. Kelsey and Hill are both great players, probably both going to the Hall of Fame, but I think the Bills' defense is better at neutralizing players, and I think that they're playing better as a whole than Kansas City. So I think those are a couple of edge things for the Bills. Obviously, the edge for the Kansas City Chiefs is they are really good at home. I mean, they've won 5 straight playoff games at Arrowhead. I think Mahomes is 6-1 at Arrowhead. It's in your backyard. This is why you play all year, to get home field advantage. They've got that. They've got experienced Super Bowl coaches. So we'll see what happens in this game. It should be a hell of a game. Crazy, high octane type stuff. I don't think it'll get into the 40s. Most people are thinking like in the 30s, upper 20s. I'll go that direction. 34-31 Bills win it over Kansas City, and they will host next week in Orchard Park against the Cincinnati Bengals for the right to go to the Super Bowl. Should be a really, really good one. And don't forget, by the way, one other little thing in this game that's going to be very, very important to watch, and that is the kicking game. I mentioned special teams, but what happens here if it is a game in the 20s where the defenses kind of take over? Tyler Bass, can he make a couple of long field goals and be the difference maker like McPherson was for the Bengals yesterday? Very, very interested to see that. This is a new team. The Bills didn't have their receivers in week 5. They had their receivers in week 5. Last year in the AFC title game, they didn't have their receivers healthy at all. Beasley was banged up. Diggs was banged up. The Bills are the healthiest team in the NFL. Let's see what happens tonight. 34-31 Bills.
Throw your hands up and shout. Throw your head back and shout. Come on now, the Bills are making it happen now. Stand up now, come on and shout. Yeah. Shout it right now, baby. Come on. Come on and shout. Yeah.
Be sure to get on over to Cooperstown Connection, Destiny USA, for all of your NFL apparel, memorabilia, you name it, they've got it. Cooperstown Connection, Destiny USA, Allen, Mahomes, Bills, Chiefs, Arrowhead, the right to go to the AFC Championship game. This is kind of a budding rivalry here between these two teams. McDermott, Dable, Frazier, Reed, Bieniemy, Spagnuolo. Unbelievable stuff if you're a football fan. Go Bills.